Hey guys, Alex Fast here, back with Baseball Savant tutorial number 5. In our last iteration, we were joined by the fantastic Sarah Langs, who helped us break down some crucial parts of the batter page. For today, we're going to dive a bit deeper into the StatCast tab as we'll start to explore some other features of the batter player page. Before we dive in, please don't forget to reach out to me on Twitter at AlexFast8 or at SavantTips with any questions or comments or feedback that you guys may have. We used Mike Trout as our example last time, so why don't we pivot our focus to another elite hitter for today in Christian Yelich. After Sarah's tutorial, I feel pretty confident that you should understand the gradients in the top right-hand corner of the page, as well as everything in the StatCast batting statistics field. Where I want to begin then is by taking a look at all the different fields that we can use in what is currently labeled as the pitch by season chart. So this was already broken down in our last video, so why don't we go ahead now and pivot to the average pitch velocity here. So for a hitter, this is simply the average pitch velocity grouped by fastballs, breaking, and off-speed pitches by year. So this is all seasons, right? So it looks like Yelich has seen faster off-speed pitches since pretty much 2013. Seen kind of a steady increase there with a little bit of a drop in 2018 and 2019. Let's say we wanted to get more specific here. So off-speed, as we can see down here, is splitter, changeup, forkball, and screwball. We can change the pitch group here to pitches. All pitches, by the way, at the bottom isn't listing each individual pitch, by the way. It's literally the average of every single pitch seen. So all pitches is the average of every single pitch seen. If we want to just see the specific off-speed pitches, I can click and thereby deselect the pitches that I don't want to see. So I can get rid of four-seamer and sinker and slider, get rid of curve. We want to keep changeup because we're looking at off-speed. Get rid of cutter. Want to keep split finger. Get rid of ephus and forkball. Obviously, we don't really need to worry about knuckleball, by the way. We don't need to worry about forkball and screwball right now because not many guys are throwing those. So we can deselect and select to our heart's content there. Here we have it. I can see that he drastically saw faster splitters and change-ups between 2016 and 2017. Now, remember, if I wanted to see who was responsible for that uptick, I could do that in the search. I can actually go and look at who was throwing him more who was throwing him faster splitters and changeups. If you wanted to see just one pitch, you could also go to all pitches and simply just change here to the one pitch that you wanted to see as well. But in this instance, you would not be able to select multiple groupings here. Here's another important note too. I want to add some of these back in. The pitch coloring is always the same throughout Savant, okay? So four-seamers are always going to be red, changeups are always going to be green, sliders are always going to be yellow, and so forth and so on. In the next grouping, we can see how Yelich has fared on a pitch-by-pitch basis in terms of exit velocity. Remember, below in pitch tracking, there's actually a lot of information if you wanted to get even more granular. For example, I can see here, that Yelich has seen sort of a steady rise in exit velo on breaking pitches every year. I'm going to go back here to breaking pitches. So we can see that he's seen a steady increase in breaking pitches every year since 2017. So if we want to, we can see if there's a corresponding rise in xwOBA, right? So we go down to pitch tracking and we see in 2019 a 394 xwOBA on breaking pitches, and that's up from a 392 and also up from a 250. So it does kind of correspond. Now, just to be clear, increases in exit velocity do not always correlate to increases in xwOBA. I just kind of wanted to see if that was the case here. Average launch angle, which is our next one, is pretty self-explanatory. We can see that his average launch angle has increased for virtually every pitch type over the past couple of seasons. Average spin rate is the average spin rate on pitches the batter has seen. Okay, so not balls off the bat, it's pitches that he's seen. This is same with average horizontal break and average vertical break with gravity. So barrel rate is the percentage of barrels Yelich has recorded, which is a fun chart just to kind of take a look at, especially over the past couple of years. That MVP season, absolutely fantastic. Let me reiterate, too, you can look at this on a pitch type level. You can change up on handedness. You can go month to month if you would like, as opposed to season over season. So many different graphics that you can take a look at here to help you better understand the information. Hard hit rate, Sarah broke down in Monday's tutorial. Swing percentage is how frequently this batter, so in this case Christian Yelich, is swinging at a particular type of pitch, which is also great to see. This is all swings, so it doesn't break up swing and misses or contact or what have you. This is just pure swings. You can, however, look at swing and miss. You can also look at in-zone rate, which is how frequently Christian Yelich is seeing pitches in the zone. Out-zone rate, which is how frequently he sees pitches outside of the zone, which, you know, if we take a quick look at it, skyrocketed last year, which is kind of interesting to note there. We can see pitches he saw that were on the edge. The sharp jump here is due to data not being gathered until the 2015 season. We can see how frequently, where are we just looking at? We just looked at edge, right? We can see how frequently he would swing at pitches inside of the zone, which is good. That's what you want to be doing, obviously. We can see how frequently he chased, which does not take contact into account. Now, you may be asking, well, what's the difference between outside of the zone and chase? So if you recall from our search videos, chase is a certain delineation of pitches, right? Outside zone, there was like heart, there was shadow, there was chase, and there was waist pitches. So we're just looking at that one delineation. Outside of the zone includes elements from the shadow, from the chase, from the waist pitches, whereas chase just consists of that one subsection of pitches here. So moving on, we have where are we at? In zone swing and miss, which is how frequently he would swing and miss at a pitch inside of the zone. And down here we have how frequently he would miss on pitches that he chased. The others are fairly rudimentary statistics that we've kind of gone over before, included some counting stats here. So we've gone over expected batting average, expected slugging, and expected xwOBA. You could also look at batting average on particular pitches, his slugging, his xwOBA, how frequently he has walked on particular pitches. Don't forget. Let's actually take a look at what pitch he walked the most on individual pitches, and let's just take a look at 2019. And why don't we go ahead and go month by month here? So it looks like for a majority of the season, he walked a lot on changeups here, and then had one instance in September where he was walking a lot on cutters. Now, this is obviously going to vary on, I wonder if he maybe saw some more Darvish here, and that's why, although Darvish was pretty impeccable at the end of the season. But I digress here, as I'm sure you will if you're starting to do your own analysis with these tutorials, because there are so many different paths that you could go down. We could look to see which pitch he struck out the most on, which pitch he got the most hits, singles, doubles, triples, home runs. We could see just how many pitches he has seen as a raw number, which pitches he had the most ground balls on, line drives on, fly balls on, and pop-ups on as well. So plenty of information to play around with here. One last reminder, really mess around with the pitch groupings, right? The season, the handedness. Look at just fastballs from 2018 or every splitter that Yelich has seen in the history of his career. The rest of the page we broke down in our video with Sarah, so I actually kind of want to move on a bit here. For now, what I kind of really want to do is I actually want to skip fielding and running, as I want to stick with the offensive side of things, because if I pivot to fielding and running, we're going to go down a totally different track. We're talking about offense mostly here, so I want to stick with that. So we're actually going to go ahead and take a look at the breakdowns here. Okay, so the first thing that we see here is the players or in this case, Christian Yelich's rolling expected xwOBA over 50 plate appearances, okay? So this is a rolling chart, and as you can see here, we've set the minimum to 50 plate appearances. To make this a little more clear, I want to change this from all seasons to just look at 2019. So what we're looking at here is Christian Yelich's expected xwOBA as measured in his plate appearances up to that point. So if we hover over the first dot, this isn't opening day. Opening day was not on April 8th. This was after he recorded his first 50 plate appearances, okay? So his first 50 plate appearances up to that point, he had a 488 xwOBA, and then we can go by plate appearance and see how his xwOBA progressed over the entire season. You can change that minimum to 10, 25, 50, 75, 100, 200, and 500. 500 probably going to be a bit more applicable if you're looking at multiple seasons as opposed to just 2019. This is a great way to see how a hitter's expected xwOBA is going to fluctuate over the course of the year. And it's not just expected xwOBA too. You can look at expected slugging, expected batting average. You could look at how their xwOBA has adjusted over the course of the year or every season if you'd like. His slugging, his batting average, his average launch angle, average exit velocity, all these we've gone over. His hard hit rate, sweet spot, Sarah broke down in the previous video. His K rate and his walk rate. Also, this red line here indicates what the MLB average was. So pretty impressive. There was only, what is this? 2 instances really over the course of 2, maybe 4 or 5 games. I guess it looks like that Christian Yelich's expected weighted on base average was under MLB average just because he's an elite hitter. Down below, we can take a look at a histogram to get a good visual idea. A good visual idea is the encapsulation of Baseball Savant. That's what Baseball Savant is. It is a quote-unquote good visual idea. All of this is just fantastic visuals that are here to help you. This is a good visual idea of where a majority of Christian Yelich's batted balls are hit in terms of exit velocity. This is all batted balls, but you can sort by home runs, hits, and percentages. In points per group over here, we can change how the x-axis is being measured. So you notice right now it's 60, 70, 80, 90 with breaks every 5. If we wanted to move this and make it every 10, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, we could easily do that as we go back to 5 points per group. We can also change handedness, so righty-lefty pitchers, what season we're looking at, and we can also get even more specific in the last field. For example, if I wanted to see a color gradient to show hard hit balls, I could do that. So a lot of hard hit balls after 100 mile an hour exit velocity, which kind of makes sense. I could also do this on xwOBA, batting average, slugging, expected xwOBA, expected batting average, expected slugging, and exit velocity, which kind of just adds a gradient to the histogram that we were looking at originally. So once again, a lot of information that you could play with here. If you want to look at launch angle, you could do that. Launch direction and pitch velocity, you can do that. As I said, a reminder that I need to pay my bills right now. So I'm glad you got to see that. I'm not even going to edit that out. I'm going to leave it in here to let you guys know. You can reach out to me to make sure I paid my bills. I hope I did at the end of this video. Okay, so why don't we actually... Oh, yeah, so... like I reiterated here, just to reiterate, exit velocity, launch angle, launch direction, and pitch velocity. We can break all of these down here. I think those are all pretty clear. Once again, just another opportunity, all the different things that you can play around with on the site. And if you want to, don't forget, you can print this chart, download it as a PNG, a JPEG, download the PDF, or download it as an SVG vector image. Sarah Langs went over in our last video about how this is frequently what MLB.com writers will do to place in their analysis. Last but not least in this video, let's take a look at the zones here. Wow, so a lot of information here. The gradients here, before we begin, they are not set to league average, but more so to values that are considered good or bad. Something for you to keep in mind as we go over these. Now, I'm going to go over these one by one really quickly. Some are very self-explanatory. Some are a little bit more confusing, but I want to give you a good idea of what they are before we begin. You can do this for any year in which data has been collected. You could look at just total pitchers, or by righty or by lefty. So let's start with the top left here, pitch percentage. This is the amount of pitches Christian Yelich sees by percentage in each of the game day zones. So he only sees 5% of total pitches middle, because why would you be throwing a pitch middle to Christian Yelich? Total pitches is the raw number of pitches in each game day zone. So he's seen 112 pitches middle. Guys are obviously throwing him a lot of pitches down and in. Swing percentage by zone is how often Christian Yelich swings at pitches in that part of the zone. The denominator here is not total pitches. It's total pitches in that zone. So if we look at swings by zone, right, over here, we see that he's taken 50 swings at pitches in zone 1 or up and in. If we go back to swing percentage by zone, we see that he swung at 66%. So some quick maths lead me to believe he's seen about 75% pitches in that part of the zone, swung at 66% of them, or roughly about 50 total. K percent, we can see where the majority of pitches Christian Yelich is striking out on. It looks like down and away, down and in. With percent, we can see where Yelich is swinging and missing the most. Once again, down and in and down and away. Misses by zone is similar to whiff, but with the raw numbers. Batted balls by zone is where Yelich is hitting the most balls by zone. So he has 50 batted balls middle. That's batted balls. I don't want to say, I said hits, but I meant purely as putting a ball in play, not in the literal sense of a hit and that it's a single, double, or triple. This is just, or home run. This is just batted balls by zone. So obviously a batted ball can be an out. Average exit velocity is average exit velocity by zone, destroying middle, also down and away, which is kind of interesting considering this is where he's getting some whiffs. This is kind of interesting too. Guys are obviously trying to attack him down and away, but if they miss, and it doesn't get down and away out of the zone, he can hit you pretty hard at average 102 pretty much exit velocity. Average launch angle, once again, it looks like he's kind of punishing middle, not getting two balls down at his feet, meaning he has an average -1 launch angle on balls down and in. Barrels are raw number of barrels by zone, so 16 barrels middle. Barrels per balls in play. So this is barrels divided by how many balls in play by zone. So it gives us a better idea of how frequently the balls in play he had were barrels by percentage as opposed to raw numbers. Now, barrels by swing percentage is the same thing, but swings is the new denominator instead of barrels there. Same thing with barrels over pitches. It replaces swings with pitches as a denominator. So 14% of the pitches he saw middle, Christian Yelich barreled, right? Hard hit percent is raw number, not hard hit percent. This is just hard hit. The raw numbers of hard hit balls by barrel. 35 hard hit balls on middle pitches. Hard hit by balls in play, just dividing hard hits by balls in play and showing percentages by zone, okay? So 70% of the balls in play that were middle were hard hit. Hard hit by swings changes the denominator there to swings. This changes the denominator to total pitches, okay? Home runs by zone, all of these are pretty self-explanatory, right? 11 home runs on pitches that were middle. 13, and this I love to see, right? Guys are trying to attack him low and in because they see that he has a high whiff rate there here, but he's obviously just slapping them for singles. 13 singles there on pitches low and in. Oh, excuse me, that's not singles, that's total hits. But as we can see here, 11 of those were singles. We have doubles by zone, triples by zone, strikeouts by zone. These are all a little bit more explanatory. That doesn't make any sense. These are all a little bit easier to understand, I should say. Walk rate by zone, ground ball percentage by zone. So 54% of his ground balls came on pitches down here. In this particular instance, line drive rate by zone, fly ball by zone, pop up by zone. His batting average on balls in play per zone. Once again, these are all pretty explanatory. Batting average by zone, so this is kind of crazy to see. He had a .455 batting average on pitches up and in, and an even better batting average, crazy, than over pitches over the heart of the plate. So if you missed up and in to Christian Yelich, he really made you pay for it here. We have expected batting average, which we've gone over in previous videos. Batting average on contact, right? So we're only looking at how he performed when he made contact, okay? So this still includes outs, but we're not including outs by strikeout. We're including outs on balls in play. His expected batting average on contact, which is different than his batting average on contact. We're looking at his OBP on pitches by zone, his expected OBP on pitches in the zone, slugging, expected slugging, ISO, expected ISO, xwOBA, and expected xwOBA. Now, you might be thinking, why are you breezing through all of these so quickly? We have gone through all of these terms in past videos. There is a glossary on MLB.com if you need a refresher on what each of these are. You can obviously reach out to me on Twitter if you need a refresher, but they are time-stamped in previous videos as well. And if I feel like if I went over each one in every single video, they would make these even longer. But once again, AlexFast8 on Twitter, @SavantTips on Twitter. Reach out. Last but not least, we have xwOBA on contact, or xwOBAcon, or xwOBAcon, as we like to say jokingly. I don't know if Sarah likes to say it. I like to say it. And expected xwOBAcon, or expected xwOBAcon. Once again, gone over these in previous videos. This is just breaking them down by zone. There is a lot of information just on this zones page to go over, and on the breakdowns page. Have fun. Dig into your favorite player. Christian Yelich is kind of a cheat code, just like Mike Trout is, because he exceeds in every facet of the game virtually, but at least you can sort of see where guys are trying to exploit him from a pitching perspective. Take a look at your favorite player. Reach out on Twitter with any questions you have or any interesting things that you may have found. I mean, there's so many players to go over, so reach out to me if there's something that we should be taking a look at, right? Or something you want to discuss. In the next videos, we're going to take a look at the fielding and the running. There's so much to go over there, but that is going to do it for this tutorial. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We'll talk to you soon.